Ladies and gentlemen, the saga is over, the wait is over. The UFC will have a brand new home in 2026, and it will now be with CBS and Paramount. They just inked a $7.7 billion media rights deal for 7 years. We're going to get into it. We got Dana White puffing on a cigar here. Shout out to the legend, man. Like, yeah, he sucks at promoting fights now, but come on, dude. This is one of the Mount Rushmore guys in the fight promotion. In my eyes, you have Vince McMahon, Dana White, Don King, and Paul Heyman. Those are the names that I throw out there for the most influential people to ever get into fight promotion, which you guys see this is an MMA channel. It encouraged me to, watch ever since I was a kid and really try and understand this game. But man, we're gonna watch some Pat McAfee. Shout out Pat McAfee, one of the G's in sports media, which sports media. I'm just gonna say we're a minute in. It's absolute garbage. You guys know how garbage press conferences are, but let's listen to Pat McAfee interview Dana White.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man who, I don't know his official title. We just assume he runs the UFC. Yep. President, CEO, super duper boss. A man who was smoking a cigar in his IG story today saying, it's going to be a good day. You're damn right, ladies and gentlemen. Dana White.
Yeah, Dana!
Congratulations.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
No problem. I like the TKO group shirt too. Hey, I like what we're doing here. Okay, obviously WWE gets massive deal done with ESPN. UFC gets huge deal done here with Paramount Plus and Skydance. I believe it's P Sky is their particular publicly trading thing. How's this come together, Dana? This is a huge swing by Paramount to get into sports full time. How pumped were you that they were a part of this? And
okay, really quick.
Where you thought you were going to end up at?
Really quick, I will talk about the move to WWE with ESPN shortly, because we do need to talk about the UFC, and it's under TKO, right? But yeah, let's continue and hear from Dana White.
Like a month ago.
I agree with everything you just said. And yes, we've been going through the process. No, I didn't think this is where we would end up, but this is sort of how it played out. I love it. These guys are obviously very smart guys, very aggressive. And when you think about streaming, right? Streaming is incredible. When they drop a great show, the problem with the whole service is I can watch it tonight or I can watch it 2 years from now. Live sports is going to be a big deal, with all these streaming services. And, we're going to play a big part in it. And when you look at Paramount Plus, right, this new deal that we're going into, you get to watch all the UFC programming on there. No pay-per-view anymore. It's $13 or whatever it is, and you get everything. Plus, these guys have South Park, Yellowstone. I've been talking about Mobland now.
Tom Cruise.
Unreal.
Tom Cruise. They got Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Just all of Tom Cruise.
Why is it?
Brother.
I can't. Come on, pause.
Of all the content that they have, great shows. So now you get.
There we go. Right there, man. Dana White said it. Dude, Paramount Plus, I use my mom's subscription. Every other Gen Z out there. But, dude, I cannot stress enough. Paramount Plus is the greatest streaming service. And it's not even a question anymore. Like, what does Amazon have? They got Reacher, pretty good. They got Boys, Invincible. Season 2 is meh, if you ask me. But, Paramount Plus. Yellowstone, all the spin-offs. You have Landman, Mobland. Mobland is brilliant, by the way. South Park is over there now. And they are cooking with their new season. You got the new Dexter. You got the old Dexters. Man, I cannot say enough good things. Like, if you ask me, like, okay, what streaming service would you want UFC to be on? It'd be that one. Like, Paramount Plus is the one that I'm always going to bed to now. Like, unless I'm watching No Country for Old Men, I'm watching South Park. Like, those are my two go-to-bed shows. Love No Country for Old Men. But let's continue.
You know, all the UFC content, plus all this other great content too, TV shows, and they have much bigger plans ahead, and we are very aligned with them, and I'm excited to be in business with the Ellisons.
We're very excited that they're getting into sports in the way that they are. You know, Dad, Larry, I believe, he paid what, $100 million for that kid to go play quarterback in Michigan? He just dropped $100 million. They and a boy now running Paramount Plus. I'm excited they're getting into sports in the way that they are. And Skydance, I think, has a deal with the NFL to make movies about sports. So I appreciate you trailblazing into the sports world and continuing to keep it moving there. Now, is this for all U.S. events, right? Is that accurate?
Yeah, this is just for U.S. So we'll still go out and cut different deals, in different territories. But when you get in business with a global.
Okay, so right there, it's just for U.S. I think it's probably going to pan out that way for Canada. I'm assuming, since we're right there. I know that the UK has theirs, but I would assume that they would keep it the same. UFC has been on Sportsnet Plus in Canada, and I hate Sportsnet Plus. They better not re-sign with them. But man, this is big. This is really big.
A sport like us, I mean, I'm sure they have plans. We haven't got that far yet, but plans to go into other countries too.
Let's talk about the pay-per-view model being done here for you. Usually these streaming services, as they're gathering an audience, try to host a big event to draw people in, and then they hope their shit keeps them there, okay? We're going to have a big event, and then we'll keep our shit. Now, Netflix just been building since the beginning. They're a blockbuster, so they got everybody. Everybody else has to have these live events to bring people in. Amazon was doing it with like music. I think they were having like big concerts. Then they got into the NFL. Now they're getting into sports. ESPN Plus, UFC, other pay-per-views. They get in there to have these events. So with Paramount Plus saying, hey, we just want people to be subscribers and enjoy it, they have to have a pretty big audience base already, I would assume. And how do you view this? Do you think it's going to be a success, and how everybody else is going to end up doing it in this particular world?
Yeah, I think that, I think all these streaming services, no matter who they are, have to be involved in live sports. Any type of sport, you have to watch it live. Nobody's going to watch a taped or delayed, sporting event. So, yeah, I think they all have to have it. And it's going to be fun because, there's all these disruptors in business right now. When you think about us growing up, I never thought taxi cabs would go away, or cable television would crumble and go away. It's fascinating to see all. And we're always on the top of new technology and trying new things. I left DirecTV and went to ESPN Plus, and when you make these decisions, it's scary at the time, but one of the greatest decisions I ever made. My relationship with ESPN over the last 7 years has been amazing. We had our bumps and bruises in the beginning, of figuring out how to work with each other, and it's been great. I have nothing but amazing relationships with ESPN. They help take us to this next level. So and Fox before them, and Spike TV before them.
All right, Spike.
All right, so I will leave it there. I'll leave the interview down below. Now we're gonna get into what this means, right? So you look at the raw numbers. 7 years, $7.7 billion. Paramount is putting $1.1 billion annually. From what I heard, a lot of that is back ended though. Like the first 2 years are like 800 million, and then the back end years it's like 1.2, 1.3. That's how they structured it. But UFC to end pay-per-view model was $7.7 billion Paramount deal. The UFC has a new and exclusive home for fight cards in the US in 2026, and it's worth an outright few expected to be a major player. On Monday morning, the UFC and CEO Dana White announced that the promotion signed a deal with Paramount to carry their 43 yearly events, 30 fight night events, and 13 numbered cards. No more pay per view, which we'll talk about at the end. Beginning in January 2026, the big talking point appears to be the numbered cards no longer being under a pay-per-view model, as the UFC and Paramount Plus will feature a package that carries all 43 events. Following the massive news, MMA Fighting's Mike Heck and Alexander K. Lee gave their reaction on the MMA Fighting podcast. We're not going to watch it. I mainly brought that up for the, the money and the term, right? The two big factors in this contract. So you have 7 years, 365 days in a year. Each year, we typically have four major cards, right? International Fight League, Saudi Arabia, then we have Abu Dhabi, and MSG every November, right? Now that we are going to go into a world where they're not going to be getting $80 a pay per view, which $80 a pay per view was absolutely absurd. And we were getting robbed. We are getting robbed on most cards compared to the Fox era, compared to even a few years ago at the start of the ESPN deal. What I want to see from this, though, and it's exactly what I said in my video talking about Amanda Nunes and Kayla Harrison. I want Paramount Plus to take over interviews. I want them to do documentaries on fighters. I want them to completely redesign the presentation of the sport. So it's not like what it was on ESPN, right? All fights do commercial about Quest Trade or whatever the fuck. And then we get, another bunch of random commercials and that. Which I get, it's advertising. That's how they make their money, but I hated how they were trying to present this sport like the NFL, like the NBA, like every other sport, when it's not every other sport. Now, when they do announce like where it will be in Canada, obviously I'll probably make a video on that. I'm Canadian, right? I live in Alberta, which man, we'll see how next year goes, I guess. So yeah, man, this is huge. Now, the other talking point we have to cover is the amount of people who stream events, right? Majority, like, just they brought up the Francis Ngannou fight, where that fight flopped, but everybody watched that fight. Everybody was talking about that fight. I don't hold any of that on Francis. Well, he did no show PFL Africa, which I may talk about. Um, but yeah, in the next 7 years, I want them to present this as the sport, not a sport. I want them to present it as this is an experience you cannot get anywhere else, which it is. And you have the advantage, it's every Saturday. You don't have like 20 different fights um throughout the week, right? You have one night, you have 11 to 14 fights, and your goal is to build up these guys into stars that people want to see fight in the cage. It's as simple as that. And what I hate about current MMA is we got fucking Nina Drama being the main promoter. You know, I may make a video on that ad too, but like, oh, I already made it short, but this is what I want to see. I want them to really bump it up. I want them to take it to the next level where UFC is undeniable. Again, I became a fan at a time where, I wasn't legalized in New York, wasn't legalized in a couple other states. It was still a very fringe sport of, oh, you're into that WWE thing? Like, majority of the people that I grew up with were WWE fans while I was watching this sport, and really nobody around me was watching the sport apart from my dad, like my worker back in the day, and basically, maybe one of the kids' parents watch the fights, right? But now it's like everybody's in on it. Everybody knows, you know, about fighting. Which, to contradict that, everybody knows about the UFC. Barely anybody knows a handful of fighters anymore. Which is a difference, and that's another thing about promoting, doing documentaries, doing interviews, making, like, big. Again, I'm going to talk about the Francis thing at some point. Bring back Francis purely to make a documentary. That guy deserves a documentary made on him. Dear Lord, his wife is. It's rough, man. But, Paramount Plus, ladies and gentlemen. That is where at least the American fans will be going to. And, we just gotta look and see where everybody else goes. I assume, though, they'll probably open that deal up to Canada at least. I would assume, but let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about this brand new Paramount deal? What do you expect over the next 7 years? And what do you think the UFC needs to do to really elevate itself to be a competitor with the NFL, NBA? And they really do have a shot right now with how shit those leagues are getting. But, yeah, man. Let me know what you have to say down below. Thanks for watching. I love each and every one of you. Later.